it's not suppressed. It's not true. I mean, they would like to pretend it's true, but it's just obviously not true. I mean, everybody who's available for public, to come to meetings or give talks and so on is so overwhelmed with invitations that you can't take a fraction of them. And audiences are not only huge everywhere, but also interested. I mean, Howard Zinn just told me, spoke to a couple of thousand people in Santa Cruz a few days ago, or weeks ago. And that's true all over the place. It's nothing like it was in the past. Much more access, much more openness, much more interest and concern. And so I don't think there's any way in a country like this to prevent people from getting together and reaching out. It's not a dictatorship, after all. I mean, there'll be pressures and, ugliness and so on and so forth. It doesn't really mean much. I mean, I'm surprised when people here complain about the fact that they're facing repression. As compared with what goes on in the world, the kind of repression that we face it's invisible. I mean,
so the incidence of journalists getting fired right
it's virtually, it is so marginal as compared with what goes on in the world. Look, next week I'm going to Turkey, for a political trial. A publisher there is indicted, and if he goes to jail, that means a couple of years in a Turkish jail, and you know what that means, for publishing a couple of sentences from a talk. He posted a talk of mine that was given at a university here on U.S. and the Middle East, and a couple of the sentences referred to the U.S. relations to Turkey. And in it I mentioned Turkish repression of the Kurds, which is one of the worst atrocities of the 1990s, primarily on Clinton's account. He could get away with it because nobody here was willing to talk about it. But huge atrocities, ethnic cleansing, massacres. And I had a couple of sentences mentioning it, and more or less drawn out of Human Rights Watch reports and so on. Okay, so he's going on trial. This is a post-September 11th thing. They wouldn't have done it before September 11th. Every repressive government around the world figures we got an opportunity now to clamp down on people and smash them in the face, and the boss in Washington will say it's okay. So it's going on everywhere. So he's on trial. I'll go for the trial. These guys in Turkey are very courageous. I mean, there are writers and journalists and academics and others who are protesting all of this very strongly. In fact, about 10 days ago, they published a book of banned essays. Essays that are actually officially banned, some of them by people in jail or who have been in jail. Actually, I'm one of the co-publishers listed. So far, the government hasn't reacted. But for them to take a stand like this is no joke. I think Turkey perhaps has more journalists in jail than any other country, I think, last time I saw the Penn list. And that's no fun. Also, Turkey just arrested, I think it's 800, in the hundreds, maybe 800 students for putting out petitions to schools and colleges modeled on the petitions that are used by people who want to take courses in French and German or something. So, but in this case, asking to take elective courses in their own language. It happens to be Kurdish. Okay, hundreds of them are in jail. This is. There are other publishers. Just yesterday, I learned that another publisher and Kurdish writer are being indicted. Same story. If there's a lot of protest about this in Europe, and the human rights groups protest, but if nothing happens here, it's not going to matter, because this is the only place, for the reasons you said, whoever it was back there. What counts is the guys with the guns. Okay, and as long as protest is silenced here, a country like Turkey can get away with it, and others. But that's repression. Okay, for us to talk about repression is, it's embarrassing. Yeah, it exists, but it's so slight by world standards that can't even talk about it. I just came back. I said I came back from Brazil. I mean, in Brazil, there are death squads running around, murdering leaders of the political party, the Workers' Party, that happens to be in the lead of the elections. All right, that's serious. We don't face that. Not ever, you know.